Hello everybody, what's up, what's going on? By the way, I'm Emily May, and today I'm going to be tempting you into studying abroad in South Korea. Now, I did do a video the other week about studying in Seoul as an exchange student. And if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll leave you a little link somewhere at the end of this one so that you can go and watch it, because everything that I said in that video still applies to this one. This video here particularly focuses on being in South Korea as a student and living there as a, you know, the student life with the student budget and all that good stuff. Good, can you really call it good when you're skint? Whether that's for a short-term visit or a long-term visit. I've had periods in South Korea where I studied there for 3 weeks at a summer school at Busan University. I've also studied there for an entire year at Dongguk University in Seoul. So what I say in this video is going to kind of be able to be applied to both situations depending on why it is that you want to go and study there. Now, the first and most important part of being a student is, I know it's boring, isn't it, but the studying. I have to talk about the studying first and foremost. Having said that, it becomes slightly less boring when you find out that South Korea has a cafe culture within which there are many study cafes, many of which are open for 24 hours. So you can go to Korea, you can sit in a cafe any time of day, you can be sat there at like 3 AM in this little study cafe, studying your heart out. Or, you know, just as somewhere to sit if you missed the last train home when you've been out clubbing. Not that I've ever done that. No, I usually sit in McDonald's. Just a little fun fact for you, but cafe culture in Korea is so big and there's so many different niches to the cafes, only one of which is the study cafes, that I actually wrote my dissertation about cafe culture in Korea. So that's a little fun fact about yours truly for you there to, I wouldn't say enjoy, but you don't really enjoy these facts, do you? You're just kind of like, yeah, okay, nice. Moving on. And point number 2 is actually the university itself. That would be the second most important thing of being a student, right? Not just studying, but where you study. Now, all the universities in Korea that I have personally seen, that I've visited, that I've been to my own, I've been to ones of my friends, things like that, and they're so beautiful. They're just such beautiful places. They're not like in England. Not that I've been to many universities in England, but some of them in England are a bit like, oh yeah, they're just buildings. In Korea, they are gorgeous. I'll see if I can find some pictures from the internet somewhere to put up for you, because a lot of the architecture there, the buildings that they have, just beautiful. And all the universities are going to have cafeterias where you can get cheap and delicious foods. There's going to be cafes, there's going to be libraries, kind of the same as what there is here. Most of them will have convenience stores somewhere or another on campus as well. I know my university, Dongguk, had quite a few on the campus. But universities there also have so many unique things, which is just insane. Like, you see things and you're just like, what is that doing there? So for example, my university in South Korea, Dongguk University, is a Buddhist university. And so at the center of the campus, they have an eightfold path, which is just like the architecture to build this Buddhist university with the eightfold path in the middle is just phenomenal. They had a statue of Buddha, they had a statue of some elephants. What else did they have at my university? We have a temple. There's also lots of monks walking around, but that's probably because they study there. And my boyfriend's university, I've never actually been to study there. I've just sort of been on the campus once or twice because he lives literally over the road from it. At his university, there's like a tiny little pond with some fish in it and like a tiny little bridge over it, and it is so cute because I love fish. Alive, not when I eat them, but yeah. There's also a rooftop on the library at his university, so there's just grass, picnic tables. Sometimes we go up there and eat something. We take Howard with us, let him have a little run around. It's dead nice. So the campuses are all pretty much very unique, or they all have some kind of unique or interesting element to them. The third thing that I want to say about universities in Korea, or studying there in general, is just how cheap it is. In Korea, you can get everything cheap. Okay, you can get cheap food, you can get cheap clothes, you can get cheap alcohol, That's a big one if you're a student, cheap alcohol. So the cost of living in Seoul, like particularly, is very cheap compared to what other capital cities would be. For example, if you were to study in England, you'd have like a base price, but then if you were to study in London, it would be like way more expensive. Whereas in Seoul, there's not really that much difference compared to the rest of the country. The transport's just as cheap, the alcohol's just as cheap, the food is pretty much just as cheap. The only difference really is in housing, but if you're going into university housing, like you're in a dorm or a share house or even just a goshi one, you're still going to be paying really, really affordable prices. Following on from the cheap alcohol, I want to talk about my fourth point, which is the nightlife. Now, I know that I said that the alcohol was cheap, but the drinking culture in Korea is kind of like you drink at the same time as eating. So there's lots and lots of places to do this, you know, it's not just one particular area in the city. There's quite a few places that you can go, even just nearby your university. You get some good food, you get some good alcohol, and you just go and have a great time. Nightclubs are still pretty common. I wouldn't say that they were necessarily cheap, but you know, compared to London, again, they're affordable. I would say that I spend more in Korea going out, but that's just because I didn't drink at home in Korea. In England, I would have pre-drinks, then go to a club and try and go early to get like cheap or free entry and just do shots when I was there. However, in Korea, I would kind of do the same, but I would drink maybe in a bar first, then go to a club, you know, and have to pay entry and things like that. It's a very different kind of clubbing culture. The only place that I can say had a similar kind of clubbing culture was Zen Bar, and I know that that is a bar, but you know, you can play games there, there's space to dance, there's a nice bar, they do great cocktails, all the staff speak English. Thursday Party as well. I don't think I actually ever went to Thursday Party, but I know it's really popular and it is really good. The only thing that I can say is that the clubbing culture, on the most part, is very different to what you would be used to here in Western countries like England. So I would say go with an open mind, enjoy it. It is different, but it is still fun in its own way. My fifth and final point kind of ties into that. And for this, I'm going to be talking a bit more about the 24-hour culture, which I discussed in my previous video. Now, this is an extremely important point for students because, let's say, you're staying in the dorms somewhere, right? Dorms do have a curfew, usually somewhere between like 1 or 2 a.m. and 4 and 5 a.m. So you won't be able to enter your dorm between those times. So if you get locked out overnight, you kind of have to stay out overnight. Which is, you know, a little bit awkward and uncomfortable, although the subway doesn't run again until 5 a.m. so no matter where you are, you'd have to get a taxi back anyway, and that would just get expensive. Nevertheless, let's take this situation. You're in a dorm, right? Your dorm mate's trying to sleep, you have a paper due in the next day, it's 10 o'clock at night, you think, oh my god, I'm going to be up all night writing this, I don't want to keep the light on and keep my roommate awake. So what do? You go to a 24-hour cafe and you go and study there. It is extremely useful for things like that. Not only in terms of studying, but if you go out clubbing and you leave and you're hungry, it's like 4 a.m, the next train isn't till like 5:20 or something like that. You think, where can we go? You got McDonald's because it's 24 hours. You go to a bar because it's 24 hours. Yes, some bars are 24 hours. I used to live around the corner from this, like a barbecue place, I believe it was, in Hongdae. Yeah, why I lived in Hongdae for like a month, I don't even know. Like, I don't know why I did that. It was busy and it was a mistake. Not a comfortable place to live. Brilliant place to visit, not a great place to live. Regardless, I once walked past there. I can't remember what morning it was, doesn't really matter, but it was about 7:30 in the morning and there were people in there having dinner or breakfast or whatever it was. There are plenty of bars that are still open 24 hours just because party all round the clock in Korea. You can literally get drunk any time of day. It is mental. Not only that, but convenience stores. If you're not really that hungry, if you just want like a coffee or, you know, a kimbap or something to put you on till your train and you're gonna go and wait somewhere else, then you can go to a convenience store, any convenience store, any time of day, and get something there. There's plenty of restaurants, bars, convenience stores, cafes that are open 24 hours, and because of that 24-hour culture, it doesn't matter what time you sleep, it doesn't matter what time you wake up, there is something for you to do at any hour of the day. I was once in my boyfriend's kitchen and I decided to clean at 3 a.m. I found out that he doesn't actually have a kitchen cleaning liquid, you know, like one of them that you spray onto the surfaces to wipe them down. So we went to GS25 that's open for 24 hours and bought some cleaning products. And I cleaned until 5 a.m. And then we went to a restaurant at 5 a.m. That's something you just couldn't do here. You'd be like, I'll have to do it tomorrow. The 24-hour culture just makes anything possible at literally any time. It is kind of crazy not being from that culture yourself, you know? That is probably my favourite reason as to why I would say study there, because everything is just so instant. You can do anything, anytime, and you just have like extra freedom, and that kind of leads to extra fun. You know what I mean? Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope that some of this was useful if you've considered either studying in Korea or just visiting or working there potentially, or even, you know, just studying abroad in general. If you have any questions about anything that I mentioned in this video or any further questions, please leave them down in the comments just down below. If you want to know more about life in South Korea, check out my other video about the things that I miss about living in South Korea. Somewhere up here. I might point to the wrong side. Maybe up here. No, it's up there, isn't it? Like if you enjoyed any of this or found it even remotely helpful. Subscribe for a bit more content about Korea, etc. Or if you just like me. Until then, I've been Emily May, and I hope you all have a wonderful, lovely day. See you all next time. Bye-bye.